Welcome to Fantastic Females, our adventure to finding the mythical island of freedom together. I'm Rupali.
And I'm Kalyani. We are your next door finance experts sharing our experiences in the world of money and energetic.
Hi everyone, welcome to this next episode where we are talking about a really happy topic.
Yeah,
Literally.
and pretty relevant, I think.
Yes, so the topic for today is, does money truly buy you happiness? And what are your thoughts?
The yes was for the topic. My thoughts are not exactly that.
Right.
It's a tough one. I think it would be very genial, I suppose, and very righteous, very bookish to say, no, it doesn't buy you happiness. But I would like to say that I think we've mentioned this before, but it buys choices, and choices are one way to get to some form of happiness.
Yes, exactly. I think along with choices, it buys you time.
Yes, big time.
Time and space, as you would have heard in some past episodes. I personally value time and space a lot.
Yes.
And so that's what it means to me. And so today, actually, before we dive straight into the topic, because I know we're so excited about it, but please go over to our show notes. We've put in a worksheet for our listeners because, as we've said, the idea has always been to have a group coaching model. And so this is one of those that you want to kind of have that in front of you.
Yes, and we'll be going through the episode as a self-coaching episode and talking through the worksheet ourselves. This is not a prepared or researched episode, just as a warning. So we're going to talk about it. Talk about the topics as we go along.
Yes, we've only spent the past couple of years researching this topic, so we've not planned over the past week or anything, but we'll share our thoughts on it.
Yes, in a more like impromptu, spontaneous way. So if you've got the worksheets in front of you, the first question is defining happiness. And Rupali, what do you have to say about that?
I think for me, happiness is freedom.
Yes, that's my answer as well.
Yeah, I love how aligned we are actually.
Exactly.
So yeah, freedom, I think. And the reason why I say freedom is because there's been so much value put on everything but that. So, growing up, your schooling, your lifestyle, career, X, Y, Z, all of that is almost counter to that.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
And we're working towards a retirement where we are going to be free, which kind of doesn't make sense to me at the moment.
No, we've spoken about this in our last episode as well. And I think talking about the idea of freedom, it would be the short answer for me to this question as well. But talking about freedom, it kind of touches every aspect of life, right? So freedom of choice, but freedom of choice would once again apply to anything. And recently something that I've been dealing with is, I think once again, I may have mentioned this on various platforms, but has been the freedom to rest, for example. And that is something that once again is so ingrained in us in terms of discipline. You know, you have to wake up at a certain time, be at school at a certain time. Every hour the subjects change, etc.
How horrible.
Yeah, but we're so programmed with this, and a lot of us are sending our kids to school. We're probably programming them in the same way. I don't know what a bigger reprogramming could look like. I don't know, very honestly. But we could give ourselves that freedom. I think that's what I'm in the process of finding for myself.
Yeah.
And also, I've spent a lot of time, Rupali, creating that freedom and space for myself, but I still don't feel like I can make the most of it. It's really weird.
Is that because of the circles and the world around us that we kind of compare ourselves to, you think, where, I don't know, busy is successful, is good, you're busy is good, and you're like,
It even came down to the fact that we have a few people who work with us, and I was finding it hard to say to them, I was finding it hard to communicate that I needed to rest and my deliverables will not be delivered on the day I promised, and that was a big problem.
Self-imposed, right?
Yeah, totally. So I think freedom really comes down to very much your day-to-day, moment-to-moment decisions. And if it doesn't feel like pleasure, it feels like pressure, then it's the opposite of feeling free.
Exactly. I think freedom, and with freedom you get flexibility, which means tomorrow I can wake up at noon and not have to worry about 3-4 meetings being in my calendar that I need to attend.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, right? That's ultimately what, like I said, people always push it down the road and say, okay, after I have X, will I be happy? Or,
Yes.
Which kind of then you question how what's the right way then? What is it? What do you do?
Yeah, but also since we've come on this tangent of self-employed versus corporate somewhat, hinting towards it, I would like to emphasize that a lot of times self-employment is seen as a way of being free, as the only way of being free in terms of work profession. But you could feel equally free with the structure that a corporate gives you. So you have certain hours where things are expected of you, which is not the case with self-employment. A lot of times you end up working more than you would in a corporate job without a time that ends your service.
Yeah.
So I often work on weekends, and so with the structure comes a certain level of comfort and
Yes.
freedom within the structure. So I suppose if you've gone through your to-do list, your deliverables, then you are at a certain point free. Whereas with self-employment, I think that's something that you have to teach yourself in terms of feeling the freedom within, because in the end, you're managing your to-do list, you're managing your deliverables, and you feel pretty self-motivated. So then where does that end? So I just wanted to say this since we kind of started talking about self-employment, and a lot of people in corporates don't feel free. But I think those same people, if they were to start their own companies, as maybe I have, could find that they bring the same mindset into their own work.
Exactly. It's what I was about to say. Mindset is what links it all, isn't it? You can be in a corporate job, you can be really free in inverted commas, because like you said, you cut off at a certain time, or I mean, obviously there are days in both worlds, where you kind of give and take, but yeah, it's mindset. And so even within your day to day, you can find that freedom, and that's then what brings happiness.
Yes. So for this, I think both of us had a nice agreement with the definition of happiness being freedom. The next one is, what's your current goalpost? Are you working towards something?
Yeah, I think it's not something, I wouldn't say that my goalpost is, a 10-bedroom mansion with a sea view with 50 cars or anything like that.
Sounds good.
But I think my goalpost isn't very structured in your traditional sense. Mm-hmm. It's more the freedom of time and space. Mm. So what that means for me right now is my weekends, what do I do with it, what makes me happy, how do I, and that's how I want to incorporate happiness into my day-to-day life right now without having to wait 5 years and then say after 5 years I'll be free and happy, because that's not something I would like to strive towards. So that's kind of my current goalpost, where I'm like, okay, as long as I'm feeling engaged during the day, I feel like I've done stuff that means to me, I feel like I've spent my day on things that mean a lot to me, that excite me, that engage me, with people that I, respect and kind of have a good relationship with. That's what my goalpost is.
Ah, very interesting. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. So it just felt like I was feeling petty about having a very materialistic exact goal before. So it took me some time to accept my own goal, which might sound odd, but some of you might relate. But I have an X income figure in mind that I want to achieve with my businesses. And at first, like I said, it used to feel really petty. It would feel very materialistic, but that's absolutely okay. We live in this world. We work to create that value,
of course,
and it's absolutely fine to have a materialistic, numbers, numerical goal.
Agree.
So once again, I've given myself permission to pursue that goal. And currently I'm working towards creating space where the number of hours that I spend on working is not directly proportionate to the income that I generate. Because as we know, this is once again one of these things that's doctrined into us. And if number of hours was in direct proportion to what you'd earn, then laborers, etc., would be earning a lot more than us. So it's really about the value that we bring. And in my journey, I've come to respect, and Rupali and I were just talking off the record about this, that it really comes down to how you feel within. So the external is very much a reflection of how you feel within. So I've been on this journey to break that cycle for me, that when you do X is when Y happens. So I want to create that income without having my set beliefs of what needs to go into it. So I'm kind of waiting to see how my journey unfolds.
That's amazing. I mean, as they say, if you write your goal down, you're more likely to achieve it. So
yes.
Excellent. If you've got that number,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
And this is where I want to encourage anyone who's listening to actually write your goal post down, because writing it is one step closer to achieving it.
Yes, there's a few things that you can do around writing as well, right? You can simply just write it. You can have a vision board. You can have the vision board as your phone background. You can have it as a small card that you put in your wallet and see often.
Reminders on your calendar. You can have affirmations that you write. You can have a journal that you write. And sometimes I used to get, a little confused about what should I really do. Someone just tell me what I need to really do. But that also comes with freedom of choice and knowing what you more resonate with. So these days I do different things every day. Yeah, and if none of that resonates with you, at least just write it down in whatever way that means.
Yeah.
Then you try different ways of doing it, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, why doesn't it feel good?
Yes.
Because that's often telling you a lot. We are going into the coaching of all of this, but if there's something that doesn't feel good, if you've got, let's say, $1 million, $2 million you want to write down, but doesn't feel good, why does it not feel good?
Yeah.
So that's something we must go into in another episode in terms of the reasons of why, how you could kind of investigate that, because it can be quite daunting but exciting at the same time too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One of the things that we wanted to talk about in this aspect is social media. And, it really boggles my mind to think that about 8-9 years ago, this was a non-entity and we would not be having this discussion. But with the pace at which this has grown and taken control of our lives, it is a very relevant discussion, and it does become one of the factors to consider that contributes to happiness or the lack of.
Yes, comparison.
Very much.
And I heard something very interesting just yesterday, in fact, on one of the podcasts I was listening to. And I can't remember what the guy's name is, but you follow us and subscribe to our newsletter, because there'll be a link to that episode there.
Yes.
He said that what you're essentially doing is you are comparing your inside to other people's outside. So you're comparing how you're feeling to what someone else is showing you on the outside through social media. And is that a fair comparison?
Oh, this is really good to know. And we all know from our own lives that what we show on social media is so different to what's happening in our real lives, what's really going on in our minds. I think earlier when social media started, it would be comparison with people you knew. Now it's with anyone and everyone all across the world in a very unilateral way. They don't know you, but you're one of the millions that follow them. And you'd be comparing yourself to them. There's nothing in common with your lives.
Yeah.
But even then, we let ourselves kind of feel really bad about just small things. So one saying that I remember by Roosevelt, the American president, is comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so true. If we all saw our situations in absolute terms, then everything is really okay.
Yes.
Especially in the moment. The moment is always perfect, and we'll go into this in a subsequent episode as well. But once you start comparing is when the problems come.
Exactly. I just quickly looked up the episode, and it's Life-Changing Lessons from the Longest Ever Study on Human Happiness by Dr. Waldinger from Harvard. And it's a really good episode. I encourage you all to listen to it.
Yeah. So is there anything that you think has impacted how you can control happiness more so?
I think you do kind of realize over time where you compare yourself to someone by these three things. And then after some time, I feel like, okay, now I've achieved these three things, but am I happy now? Maybe not. And these examples keep happening, and where you're like, actually, this thing that I'm chasing through comparison, is that even something I want?
Exactly.
And that's when I realized that no, actually, I need to figure out what I want, which is the difficult part. But over time, you kind of, start trusting it, and you start leaning into how you're feeling to understand what is it that I want.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, this could sound wishy-washy, but being more present is as simple as being aware of whether you locked your car in the moment while you were not thinking of 50 other things.
Yes.
Actually listening to what the other person is saying when you're having a conversation instead of thinking of what you need to do next.
Or a response.
Yes. Or what you need to remember. Just really being present.
Yes.
And a lot of us have phones, of course, add to this absence culture.
Yeah.
But, with kids or with partners, with colleagues, if you're just in the moment, present in the conversation, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
I've seen that in my own life because that just fosters this unsaid connection which you don't need to work too hard for.
Yeah, you just need to be present, right? So, instead of getting stuck in our heads, that energy drain of trying to be stuck in your head while still trying to be present and have that conversation. I mean, if you're constantly doing it, you're constantly in the survival mode. And there is a study that they did where they had X number of participants, quite a few. It's a well-known study, where all these participants were messaged at different points of time in the day, and they had to respond on whether they were focused on what they were doing or was their mind elsewhere.
Wow.
And then straight after that, they had to say, how are they feeling? Are they feeling happy or unhappy?
Oh.
And the study proves that the people that were present in the moment were happier.
Yeah. This is such a big topic. Maybe we should take this up. I think we've said that for a few things today, but we should maybe take this up in a different episode. But a few years ago, my hypnotherapist, who I've been religiously kind of going to, she said, do you think of yourself as a multitasker? And very proudly I said, yes, of course. And she said, that's the problem, because we're all brought up to think that that's an achievement, whereas the human mind is only made to do one thing at a time. So you actually never end up doing anything with 100%, which means, your emotions only get half felt. A lot of times I would have this feeling of, if a big life event happens, but you feel like it doesn't hit you. And I think that's where this comes from, this feeling of, it doesn't hit me, or it doesn't feel like anything has happened.
Because you're not experiencing
You
it.
haven't fully let it hit you, literally. You haven't fully let yourself seep into that emotion. And I think this happiness connect with being present also comes from the fact that I personally know of a lot of people who have a lot of money, who've got everything sorted on paper, who have great supportive families, but they find something to be unhappy about.
Yeah.
You, I'm sure, know other people who have so many things sorted in their lives, and then eventually, maybe for some small reason, they might lose their health, or they might alienate relationships because they are in a depressed state. I don't know, so many different variations of this, which made me question that money definitely does not guarantee happiness, and neither do relationships or love. So what really is the factor? And it came down to being still in yourself.
Yes, and that's what meditation is about, right? So meditation is not forcing your mind to shut off. It's more about just watching it all happen.
Yes.
And through meditation, you kind of are able to bring that into your day-to-day life is the idea, right? I never really fully understood that initially. But over time, that's what I've realized. And the second thing is the reason why humans are not able to multitask, and why it in fact takes away more than it actually gives you. You feel proud that, I'm doing 5 things at once. However, each time you're switching between tasks, it's taking you time to get back into it. And so you're actually wasting time. You're doing worse than you would have if you just focused on one thing.
Yeah, and we've all had days where we had 5 things going on, or one call happening while we're cooking, while kids are calling us, or whatever your circumstances are. And we feel so much more frazzled than on the days that we would have just done the one task with full focus.
Yes.
So I think this brings us to our last question from the worksheet of how can we be more present? Cutting out on screen time is one of the options here, one of the factors.
It's about doing what works for you. I think different things work for different people.
Very much.
And so it's about figuring out what is that. So some people cannot meditate, but if you're really, if you feel like you're into music, and when you're playing some instrument, you go into this flow state.
Yes.
Or, what's the thing that you do where by the end of it, you're like, oh my goodness, half the day is gone.
Yeah.
Because that's when you were in flow.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of thing, do more of that, whether it's art. I mean, usually it's something creative, but it could be research, it could be numbers, it could be spreadsheets, whatever floats your boat is what you, to figure out what that is, I think.
What is it for you right now, Rupali, if you don't mind sharing?
I think right now it's about, I'm into courses, as you probably know. But when I'm doing a particular course that really excites me, and these days it's more and more the psychology of people. And so when I'm in that, I'm like, oh wow, like that's super interesting stuff. That's what it is for me. Or like this podcast I mentioned, where he mentioned, it's the longest study of happiness in humans ever. I mean, you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, so basically in the learning space.
Learning space for sure. Yeah.
For me, I am 6 months pregnant, as some of the listeners might know already. And that brought in a lot of intentions around meditating, which then I started feeling that I wasn't really able to stay true to. So my current intention is pretty flexible, which is to feel stillness whenever I can. And the 2 times that I do focus on, and this might help people who think that they can't meditate, there's a lot of us, number one. And there are phases as well, right? When we're more regular versus when we're not able to stay too regular. So the 2 times when I do focus on maybe 2.5 minutes of stillness is while I'm in the shower.
Yes.
So I feel the water coming on my body. I feel the temperature of the water. I listen to the sound that it makes and really kind of bring myself to the present with all the sensations, and it's really lovely. It really makes me feel grounded at the start of the day. And the second one is just before I sleep. So I say a little gratitude prayer. I've been doing Ho'oponopono for whoever's familiar with that. And that just makes my heart feel bigger, better. Everything is perfect in the moment. And I sleep with that sensation.
Amazing.
Just as simple as that.
Yeah, and that takes you 4 minutes in your whole day.
Pretty much.
You're not carving out time. It's while you're showering, which you're going to do anyways. It's while you're about to go to bed, which you're going to do anyways.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
And with screen time, I would like to say a couple of sentences about that, since it does take up a lot of mental space. I now have started setting an intention before I open social media, in terms of I'm going to go on social media for work on this account. We have a couple of accounts for both Rupali and me for work. Or if I'm going to go and scroll and just kind of take my mind off things, then I go in with that intention.
That's fine too.
Yeah. But I have a timer of about 25 minutes, which was constantly going off before. I think we had a chat about this as well. Recently, it hasn't been.
Wow.
So I think I've been under the limit,
Amazing.
which I'm pretty happy about.
Social media is not the issue. The issue is that when you by default, as like an extension of your body, consider your phone a part of your body, and you just pick it up and you open Instagram and you kind of browsing and it's been hours, that's not flow state.
No. Yeah,
because how do you feel after you do it?
Horrible, generally.
So that's what tells you what's flow state. If you feel amazing after it, that's flow state.
Yes, this is it. So with that, we'd like to bring this episode to an end. This was just a flow conversation about what we think about money and happiness, whether money can buy happiness. We'd love to hear back from you, and we'd love to see you use the worksheet as well. If you do use it, and if you don't mind, then please take a photo and tag us on your stories, and we look forward to hearing from you.
So please share this podcast, leave your reviews, your comments to support us on our journey. We are so passionate about making your lives more abundant with this information.
So with that, we bring this episode of our financial adventure to an end. Please follow us on all social media platforms at Fantastic Females.
None of the information provided is financial advice, and Fantastic Females is not a financial advisor.
The information provided is educational only. It is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances.
Please use your own due diligence before making any financial or investment decisions.